This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
You're in a good place now. Relax, breathe, smile. You've entered into your element, the home of origin, the home of intelligence and beauty, where relevant topics are discussed, where what you think counts, and where superior is the norm. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. You know, on tonight's show, we're talking about doing good. How doing good actually impacts our life. You know, it's interesting when we do good by others and we do good by things, it seems like things seem to go our way. And a lot of times people don't really realize the cyclical version of life. A lot of people think it's all linear, like nothing ever comes back your direction. And everything you do is just, you know, what you do. And whether it's going to come back to you or not, that's a different thing. And I recently heard a comment that was made, every good deed doesn't go unpunished. Isn't that what it is? Every good deed goes unpunished. Or goes punished.
It's like no good deed goes unpunished.
No good deed goes unpunished. Yeah. What the heck does that mean?
Means that if you do a favor for somebody, then they won't return it. Or
wow, that's a really rough way of looking at it, isn't it?
I know, but doesn't it seem like it happens often enough that...
Not to me.
Well, it's happened to me in the past.
Yeah, but when was the last time it happened?
Oh, gosh. I would say at work where I, would fill in a shift for somebody and, he didn't, return the favor.
Well, okay.
When I really kind of needed him to.
Right. Anything else?
I mean, not that's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I sat here and thought about it for a minute, I would.
But I can't think of anything. I mean, I really think that if you're looking at it from the basis of, well, if I do this, they have to do something for me. Yes, in that situation, probably so. I mean, a lot of times when we do good for other people, those same people don't always give back, but we get it from somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? So, like, maybe there was somebody else that took a shift that you needed to be taken, but it wasn't that particular person.
How cosmic of you.
I know, right? It's true, though. It's a lot of times we do good things. So, for example,
Look, Ashley, unicorn.
Bill is mocking me. Bill mocks me. Bill mocks me in my Metatron's cube hat. Bill's going to mock me. I'm going to put the hat on now. I'm putting the hat back on.
Okay, everybody out there.
Metatron's cube is going to protect me in this situation.
Everybody out there in Radio Land, in your mind's eye, let's all give Ashley a big group hug. Aw.
I felt it.
You felt it?
I like that.
Well, thank you,
God, that's
listeners.
nice.
Yes.
I like that. You can do this longer. No, seriously. Okay, so I have done things for people. Now, I'll give a good example. I'm going to go on and give an example on the fly here.
Okay.
And we're not talking about any specific person, but there is a specific person. But we're not going to talk about that. But I actually invited somebody to be on the show several times. I've done that. And out of the goodness of my own heart, and I just asked for one thing in return way later on down the road. But they never did it. They never did. It's the smallest of things, okay?
Yeah.
Turn around, and I've done the things for them, and I've gone to events for them that I really didn't feel like going, but I did. But you know what? I look at them to be reciprocal, but it didn't happen. But there were other people all around that did things for me that I wasn't even thinking about. It's like when you move a friend, so your friend goes, man, you got to help me move. And you hate moving, and you just hate moving, and you know that guy's not going to be there for you when you're moving your house. And so you move them, and sure enough, when you're moving or doing something, they're nowhere to be found, okay? But somebody does help you. And it's interesting how we give, we get. It just might not come from the same source that we gave to. And I know that it's a lot easier to get and give at the same thing and say, okay, well, I gave John this and John gave me this instead of I gave John that and John just screwed me. And that's how it feels a lot of times. But in actuality, when we do good by others, we get good back. Just might not be from the exact same source. And sometimes those people just don't know what's going on. I mean, they're not conscious to the fact that, okay, yeah, let me show this person a sign of respect and let me do that. So a lot of times it has to come from a different area. So what does it mean when we do good, and what does it mean, and how does it really help us get anywhere, and how does it help us get somewhere or do anything in life based on always doing something altruistic for people? And I think a lot of times people mistake the fact of doing things for other people as I had to go out of my way. I went out of my way to go help this person. I went out of my way. I took care of them. I went out of my way. I picked up something off the ground for them. I did this. I did that. And it's interesting how when you start doing good by everybody, it doesn't ever feel like you're really going out of your way. It seems like it's in step, right?
It's a habit.
Yeah.
Where you would do it without even thinking about it. I mean, my gosh, Ashley, we only have an hour in this show. How many philosophers over the years, over the centuries, over the millennia, have taught people, look, do good for the sake of doing good, and don't worry about the
compensation,
earthly rewards to do it. Plato in ancient Greece, Confucius, certainly Buddha, Jesus Christ. Okay, I could go on and on and on, about that same principle, and yet, we're still talking about it in this day and age, and obviously, the world could use a lot more do-gooding, couldn't it?
It sure could, and you're right about all these people from the past too that all profess this, and they profess this because it's not like you might not get riches, and you actually might. That's not saying that you're not. But things do happen, and sometimes it's not of this earthly form as far as what we consider riches and success, right? But sometimes it is. Now, let's not say that this can't happen, because it can happen. But the thing is that it normally happens when you're not thinking about it. When you're not thinking about it, and it can't ever happen if you are actually doing something in search of getting something back. It doesn't happen that way. So if I go and help all these people all day and go, well, golly, I hope I get that Rolex for Christmas.
I can tell when someone is asking me to, or I'm sorry, let me back up. If someone is doing something for me and it's just obvious they're doing it because they want something back, you can tell. I mean, you can tell. They don't even have to say it outright. You can tell in their body language, in the tone of their voice, just by the way they're looking at you.
Yeah.
That look that people get, like
it's a duty, and they're doing it so that they make sure that they kind of like, I got one here,
And that makes me just reluctant, I'd be like, appreciate the offer, Bob. I think I got it covered, or or let me hit you up next time I got it going on, then I conveniently forget.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think you got a good point there. It's so therefore, if someone is offering to do something, for me, and I can tell it's a genuine offer, then it's like, oh wow, warm, happy feeling here.
Yeah, well, and it's good. It's people call it good karma. I just call it good living. I mean, I like to be happy, and my deal is I like happiness, and happiness is one of my main things in life, and it's something that I figured out how to do. And I figured out that we can choose, and we have the ability to choose to be happy or to not be happy. And I used to think that was foolish, but it's really true. And I mean, even when we're dealing with depression or anxiety or stress, we can choose to be happier, to see kind of the silver lining, to also put things in perspective. Because a lot of times we're not happy because we're based on a weird scale. We've created a scale that we're never going to win, a game that we're never going to win, and a scale that's always going to be one-sided. And it's interesting how when we do good, no matter how depressed we are or no matter how stressed out we are, when we do actual good, altruistically good, guess what? Less stress, less anxiety, less depression.
And there's scientific studies that prove this, by the way.
Right. And that's what I tell a lot of my clients when we're dealing with a death in the family. And let's say the death was, a few months ago, and it's been a very difficult battle being able to get past it, because maybe it was a spouse that died. Maybe it was a parent that died. And a lot of things, the best thing you can do is be able to help other people. Yeah. And you have to get to that point because first off, you're allowed to be sad. Let me get that straight. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to have emotions. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to sit there and mourn the death of your relative or your friend. But there's a time and a place, and there's a length of time. And eventually it becomes too much time where it's a sunken depression. And it's hard to see the forest through the trees. And in those situations when I have clients come to me, they're not bathing, they're not showering, they're not taking care of themselves. They're staying up all night, perhaps drinking or just watching TV, just not taking care of themselves. What my next thought process and what we do is we actually go find a place that they can actually start helping other people and giving back. And at first, most people are kind of like, man, I'm so tired of this stuff. This isn't going to work. But eventually, it doesn't even take that long. All of a sudden, the mind is off them. They stop thinking about all their depression and where they're at. And they see somebody that genuinely needs their help, that they're actually able to help. And so in that situation, that's that person's lifeline. I mean, they've helped somebody out that wouldn't necessarily have that help from somebody that cares, and all of a sudden it puts in perspective what life really means, because when we get centered on depression, we actually don't live life anymore. We stand on the sidelines, we don't participate, and we rarely find happiness because we're not allowing happiness in. When we close all the drapes and we close all the blinds and we don't allow any sun to permeate any part of the room and we sit in complete darkness, it is hard not to be sad. Okay? When I have a frown on and when I'm upset, it's hard not to be sad. But, my first book I wrote in there, Live Your True Life, about how actually one of the best things you can do is get out of bed, force yourself to get out of bed. It can be hard. Force yourself, or grab a mirror, a hand mirror, that you can actually put by your bed and grab that and actually smile, genuinely smile into the mirror, looking at it, actually observing it. And it might take 5 or 10 minutes. The more depressed, the more longer it's going to take. But eventually, that smile reacts with your brain and the chemicals in your brain and actually makes you feel better. It's a fact. It's a scientific fact. And it might take a little while and you might feel foolish, but who's watching you, okay?
Yeah, it's just you by yourself, yeah.
I mean, if it's the cat watching you, it's the cat watching you. If it's the dog, it's the dog watching you. If it's a relative, they already know you're crazy, so it doesn't really matter, so let it go.
It's the mailman, he already knows, everything about you,
yeah,
so who cares?
He goes through your mail all the time. No,
yeah, exactly.
Seriously, I mean, you can let it go and realize that nobody's making fun of you. And also, think about it this way. Who cares? If I was in a room of people and I realized that this would make me feel better, I wouldn't care. Because you know what? It's about my happiness. It's not about what other people think. It's not about the 50 shades of they. The they, about what they think. It's about your happiness. It's about doing good. And, it's not about also telling everybody about the good you do. It's about doing it altruistically and believing in the good you do and not having to yell at the top of your lungs and go, well, I went and got some food for so-and-so today, and then I went and picked up sister so-and-so because she can't drive, and then I took so-and-so to hospice care, and none of this. You just did it. And I'm not really big on the anonymous thing. Like when people give donations to that, I always think it's funny when they have like anonymous and they have 3. 3. It's like you weren't the only anonymous. It's like, I mean, a name's okay, but to go around championing what you do is kind of a different thing. It should be about the love that you have.
Right.
So when we return, we're going to be talking about what happens when good comes back around. We're going to talk about what it is and how love actually becomes a part of this doing good, and what kind of good you can do today, tomorrow, and all week, and the rest of your life to make yourself feel better, but also to add more happiness to your life. So stay tuned, because Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in 2 shakes.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. When you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself, talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on Perspectives with Ashley Burgess. The water's warm and there's a swim-up bar. Glass of perspective, anyone? Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight we're talking about doing good and how it impacts our life in an amazing way. You know, it's interesting how when we do good for others altruistically, not with wanting or expecting something in return, we become happier, we become healthier, we become more balanced. We're able to put more things into perspective because we realize that we do have power to help people. We do have power to do good by people. And, you know, sometimes people think that doing good by others means that you're buying something for them or picking them up or doing that. And it can mean all various things. It could also mean communication. It could also mean gesturing to another person that you know that they exist and you say hi and you actually genuinely care about how they're doing. You know, there's a lot of people walking around today, all around us, that not one person speaks to anytime. A lot of that can be elderly people as well. Yeah. Or some people that don't have a spouse, their spouse has died.
But especially if you live in a big city, I've noticed. Because, you know, I grew up in a small town. You know, one of those, picturesque, Hollywood type, everybody's in your business, all that good stuff. and I moved to a larger city, where we are now. And I picked up pretty fast. When you are going about your business, you don't say hi to people. You just kind of, look straight ahead and or even look down. And, you don't make eye contact with people. And that was just so foreign to me because I come from West Texas. Small town of West Texas. Howdy, y'all. Mm-hmm. That type of thing. So it's like when you're driving down a rural road. I mean, you wave to each other.
I do that now.
Passing by.
I do that here.
Yeah, and I'll bet you get some strange looks, too.
Most people way back. Most people always way back. I mean, you have a few that don't.
I bet they do. It's like, okay, hi.
Most people way back, they're like, hey! And the more exuberant you are, especially if you go, hey!
Well, in that case, they're waving at you because like, oh, please don't kill me if I waved at you,
See, people are like that. That's your inner critic right there talking. Your inner critic's like, they're not going to wave back, so don't bother. But you know what I'm saying. I say y'all still. I still say y'all. I say, hey, y'all, what's up? What's going on? And everybody's like, well, I'll be like, what's up, G-Money? What are you doing? I come up with all kinds of names for people. But for the most part, people like to be acknowledged.
Yeah, that they exist.
Yeah, like I exist. Wow. And have you seen the way people, I'm one of those big believers in watching people after they walk away. Like I love to be able to see people's faces after they talk to you. And most of the time, like one of my favorite films is Groundhog Day, and when Bill Murray's character runs into this guy that's staying at the bed and breakfast, and he was like, Giovanna, hey, good morning. He's like, and he says like a poem, and he goes, have a great day, and the guy's like, ciao. He's like, this is awesome, and he's just like, he's just literally,
it's infectious.
It's infectious, and he's so happy, and he's got the smile, and he's got the pep in the step. And it's true because people go, God, they actually saw me. They didn't just brisk me by on the staircase. They didn't just look down. They didn't accidentally just kind of actually grab their phone and act like they're on a call. You know how people do that a lot too? Yes. It's like, come on, I just saw you put the phone, come on, man. I mean, like, really? You're going to talk to your phone? There's nobody on the other line,
You're just pretending. So it reminds me, Ashley, you did a previous show on positive and negative energy.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Which, for our listeners' benefit, if you would like to listen to previous episodes of Perspectives, you go to...
Spreaker!
I had to think about it.
Spreaker or iTunes.
iTunes or
just go to AshleyBurgess.com. Yeah. AshleyBurgess.com and hear all the shows that have been playing throughout the weeks and get some more perspective. And you can also send me an email at any time on the website and let me know of any concepts or ideas that you would like me to bring to light on the show. And if there's anybody in particular that you'd like to have on the show, let me know about that too, and we will try to accommodate as best as we can.
And by the way, Ashley, you are on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm on Facebook and Twitter.
So if you're listening tonight, you've got a comment or you have an idea, then please feel free to blog with us.
Yes, and definitely on Perspectives with Ashley Burgess on Facebook, Perspectives with Ashley Burgess, or Ashley Burgess, Berges. So some people call it Berger, but we just say Burgess.
Well, just because we're just not like that. So, but anyway, so you did a previous show on positive and negative energy, and you can actually walk and see. Ashley, for those of you who might be listening for the first time, Ashley is the most empathic person I've ever met in my life. She can literally walk into a room and pick up on the energy, on the vibe.
Oh yeah,
from the room, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. When someone has a positive vibe about them, it's infectious. People around them are smiling and giggling and laughing and having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
But just the opposite is true.
Take a whole room down.
Yeah,
The opposite.
you did a show about people that just suck the energy right out of the room.
I call those energy suckers.
Yes.
Yeah, energy suckers. Actually, that's chapter 2 of my last book, my third book, the 10-Day Challenge to Live Your True Life, which is cool. It's only 10 days and it's short, but in 10 days you can change your life for the better. I talk about energy suckers, and somebody that comes in with a certain attitude and a certain energy can take a whole room down. Okay, and I think everybody listening tonight knows exactly what I'm talking about. You have somebody that maybe isn't that close of a friend, but you've known them for a long time. Maybe you went to school with them. Maybe it's coworker.
The coworker from hell.
A coworker. Maybe
Yes.
it's a relative. We have relatives too that always seem to find the problems. Like when you call them, it's like they're telling you about the recent funeral they went to. They're talking about what happened at the podiatrist office. And then eventually they bring up something that you did really bad, like 2 years ago, something that you screwed up.
Or 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Yeah, and you're just like, I don't need this, and all of a sudden you get off the phone and your spouse or whoever's living with you is like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, I don't want to talk about it, and it just perpetuates. And so it's like being around positive people and being around people that do good for others and doing the same is infectious. And it's good. And it means that you're also around quality people that, you can be around their karma, too. Because sometimes you got to watch out who you're standing next to in a crowd.
But birds of a feather flock together?
They do.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you don't know the bird that well, though, it can be a problem.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were so-and-so's friend. I've heard that before, and I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah, so it's like, it's not what they said, it's how they say it.
It's like, what does that mean? And usually I get an earful, and then I have to find out for myself. And then once I find out for myself, I go, okay. And now I don't have to worry about that because I've already kind of most of the time figured that out. That whole kind of concept of being conscious and allowing the tabula rasa and not having the mind chatter and being able to meet somebody genuinely and have all that stuff off and being able to be like, I'm ready. So when we help others, you know what? It helps us. It helps us by basically warming our hearts, but it also helps us because everything is circular. It's not linear. So everything's happening simultaneously as well. And what we reap, what we give, we also reap. So we reap the benefits. And it's interesting. A lot of people, sometimes question that, but what we do, because I love doing things for others. I mean, I like helping other people. I love helping animals. So it's not just about helping people. Not just humans. It's about helping animals. It's about helping Mother Earth.
And boy, does Mother Earth and animals need all the help they can get.
They do, and that's what I do. I help animals. I help animals everywhere. Anywhere I see an animal that needs help, I'm there. Mother Earth, I'm constantly. If you were going to sit there and tell me, I actually had a group called TruthNet recently come to me and say, we want you to do, an act of kindness. And I go, well, what if your act of kindness is like a whole... Every single minute you're around, you're doing some sort of act of kindness. They go, crap. They were like, how do you do that? I go, it's a way of life. I mean, in the beginning, I just never really thought about it. It just happened. And I don't know why that is. I think it's because I had a come to Jesus conversation a long time ago, but I realized that in order to be happy, you have to do good. And so one of the biggest acts of kindness that I recently, shared with them is that it's not all about humans. It's about Mother Earth, too. And so I always pick up trash. And it's not my trash. Okay, it's not my trash. I've already picked up my trash, and then I go and pick up other trash, okay? And I take care of things. And, if there's a plant that I see needs help and I need to repot it or do whatever, I do those kind of things because I know that it matters. I know that it matters. I know that when I pick up those plastic bags and I recycle them, I know I'm doing the right thing, and I feel good about it. Now, it's interesting, though, how when you're in a rush, sometimes you can be in a rush, and in some places in town, it's like, come on, guys. It's like, did your parents never teach you how to pick up anything?
Yeah, or like my mom says, were you raised in a barn?
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
You see somebody strong. First of all, they're eating fast food. Okay. Anyway.
Which I'm guilty of that. I'll admit it.
I know, but yeah, okay, but they're eating. Then it's the fast food bag is the first thing you come across, and the second thing is the fry sleeve,
Yeah,
the French fry sleeve,
still wet with the grease,
and that's like 4 feet down the road.
Yeah,
and then you got the cup, and the ice is all thrown, and then the top of the cup and the straw is somewhere else, and you know what? The trash can was 1 foot away.
Yeah, they couldn't have walked, 3 steps?
It's like, and it's funny because my husband always gets to me sometime because we'll be on a nice walk
Yeah.
with the dog, And when we walk
Hi, buddy.
Hey, buddy, what's up, buddy? We'll have to share some pictures of Buddy here online right now. But yeah, so yes, I'll look at all this stuff on the ground and I'll start picking it up. He'll be like, "Don't touch the cup. Don't touch the straw. Don't touch the straw. Don't touch the straw."
Yeah, because you don't know what kind of germs are.
But I touch the stuff and I pick it up and I put it in the trash, and then whenever I get a chance to go wash my hands, I do it. But if I just walk past it, I feel like I'm out of sync. Like, if I walk past trash and I can easily take care of it, when I walk past it and I notice that it's there and I continue to walk, I become out of sync. I get out of sync in life. And I know that sounds interesting to people, but when was the last time that you could have done good, that you actually knew you could do it? It wasn't like it was crunch time. It wasn't like the bomb was going to go off and you had to be somewhere in 10 minutes. You had a little extra time, okay? You could have stopped by and helped somebody, but instead you didn't. And isn't it funny how everything after that was just a little out of sync? Nothing ever synced up. The call that you had probably didn't happen. The meeting you had probably got canceled. And it's interesting how a lot, I'm not just saying that that's based on the fact that you didn't do what the right thing was to do, but sometimes it is. Like, so when I see a cup and I'll try to walk past it because I feel like I'm in a hurry, I go back and get it. And it's funny how everything just works fine. I'm still there in time, still show up. Even the show when I'm getting to the station and I'm cutting it close, I'll still grab it. I'm probably not going to miss anything. I'll probably get there in time. And if I do, I know that I'll get an earful from Bill, and he'll tell me about how I've screwed up and become late. But that's okay.
Right.
Because we've worked together long enough that I'm okay with that. And honesty is the best
you've heard it before,
policy.
and you already know what I'm going to say to you. So
I've heard it before, and I'll hear it again.
Might as well just save my breath.
As long as he plays a long Star Wars track, I'll be okay. So stay tuned. When we return, we're going to be talking about more about the good deeds that you can do to make yourself happy, healthy, and better feeling, as well as how to continue.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. When you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself, talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
You need to stay in sync with your life or create that synchronicity that you've been missing. Stay tuned. Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. We'll be back in 2 shakes.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight's show we're talking about doing good, about how doing good impacts your life in a healthy and happy way. It's amazing how when we do good for others, and we do it altruistically, without wanting something back, without thinking that, they're going to screw me over if I do this, and accepting the fact that it might not come directly back from them, but the universe will provide. It's an interesting concept because when we do what's good for others, and we do what's good for animals, and we do what's good for Mother Earth, because I help animals in need, and I help people, and I also help people by communicating as well. When you communicate with people and you show them that you care, you show them also that you know that they exist. That matters a lot. Mother Earth, I'm constantly picking up trash, and for everybody, I know that most people realize there's a bag ordinance now. And in certain places, you have to bring your own bags now.
Yeah.
More
cities are going to that as a way of, because you don't like driving down your street or whatever, and there's these plastic bags, fluttering
all over
in the trees.
Place.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer of bringing your own canvas bags. I do. I bring my own, and sometimes I have forgotten. Yes, I am human. Sometimes I forgot to bring the bags. I put them in the car. But for the most part, I do bring them. But I can't tell you how many times in this last week alone that I have picked up plastic bags. And and I recycle them. I put them in a recycle thing, or I'll bring them to the store where they have that thing where they recycle.
Right, okay.
And so I'll do that. But it's interesting to see how many people will walk past it. And I got another one for you. think about this. I've also thought before when I'm in a rush about just kind of running by it, and then on the way back maybe I'll pick it up. Well, right then is normally when I go, okay, Ashley, don't be like that, and I will go and pick whatever it is up. If it's the fast food bags and all that crap and the fry sleeve and all this stuff, or the Slurpee, whatever it is, I'll pick it up. And it's interesting how when I throw it in the trash, I don't realize, but I always seem to have an audience.
Yeah, people are watching you.
And at first I never realized that. But every time lately...
And you get all these strange looks, like, what are you doing?
Well, I think it's interesting because it actually computes to their subconscious. So you're actually teaching people. So the more you do that, the more you do altruistic things, especially for the environment and for animals and for people might look funny because have you seen that when people try to compute something that has depth, they normally aren't controlling their facial structure and their facial features because they can't think to do that and to think.
Okay.
So when they can't control their facial features because they're so overpowered by whatever you're doing.
Like they're in a state of shock. They're stunned.
Well, they're actually taking it in as like a school lesson.
Yeah, okay.
It's almost like you're at the board going, okay, this is what you do. But instead of saying this is what you do, you show them what you do. And I've seen people literally look at you gawking. But the coolest thing is that, because how I am, I'm really observant. And because I'm so observant, I've actually caught some of the same people doing it. Following suit and picking up. And I don't think they would have known to do that before.
Now, Ashley, are you sure that they're not gawking at you because of the miniskirt and high heels that you're going to be wearing?
Oh, how'd you know? Yes, I have a tendency of wearing a short skirt that's shorter than it can be. Got to use some tape on that. Hold it down,
there
right?
You go.
Some Insta glue on there. Yeah, my red pumps, my spectator pumps. No, I'm probably wearing my sweatshirt and
yeah, I was going to say, knowing you.
My sweatshirt and jeans. Yeah, no, but it's true because a lot of people can't deal with their facial features and learn something. It's funny because I've actually asked people and I got to write this down. This is a really good idea. I've actually asked people in therapy sessions before. I said, after a while of seeing their face kind of disjointed and odd looking, I've actually asked clients, is it something I said? And they'll be like, huh?
Yeah, they didn't even hear what you said for the past 10 minutes or whatever.
No, they did. But I'll be like, well, is it something? Are you not liking what I'm saying? And they'll be like, what do you mean? And I'll be like, your facial, the way that you're looking at me right now looks really weird. In order for me to understand that facial expression, it looks like you want to either take me down or
start pounding.
Yeah, or everything I'm saying is irritating you. And they're like, I don't even know what I look like. And I go, what are you thinking right now? They're like, I'm really taking everything you're saying and I'm realizing how it really does impact my life. And it's interesting when people are really deep in thought, their facial features are all funky. I mean, real funky. And
mine are. People told me I get this certain look when I'm deep in thought.
Really?
Yeah.
And so they go, what's he thinking? And the first thing they always say, penny for your thoughts, Bill? What are you thinking? Are you okay? Are you upset? Are you angry? Isn't that what it is? And you're like, what are you talking about? I'm thinking about something, right?
Right, yeah. That's why I was like, no, I'm not mad. What makes you think I'm mad?
Yeah, and they'll be like, well, okay. And it's true, though, when people learn stuff. And so when you have a crowd or an audience, it's even better because guess what? Whatever deed you did altruistically, you just taught all these people how to do it. And all it takes is one time. All it takes is one time for people to see people do good.
So it's kind of a monkey see, monkey do?
Yeah, and they go, well,
one
I should
person
do
doing
that
it,
too.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, I just saw the deed being done. Oh, okay, well, subconsciously, then maybe the next time they're presented with the situation, they'll do it without even thinking about it.
They do it, and it's interesting. And sometimes it's just about knowledge. And I know that sometimes we get ticked off, and I know some people listening tonight, let's just say you get ticked off about people, they just seem rude and inconsiderate because they know the right thing and they're not doing it. And for the most part, most people know what's right and wrong. Most people know what's right and wrong, but sometimes they got to learn again. Sometimes they got to see it happening by somebody they either respect or somebody they don't know. And both of those things are very powerful because it's interesting how much power we give to people we don't know. I mean, think about it. How many people treat strangers better than their own family? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that...
I know several people like that.
I mean, every stranger they meet is they're all happy, and then they turn to you and go, Bill, You know what I mean? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
why can't I be like the girl down the hall that you said hi to earlier that you were so nice? Like, dog, got it, Bill, to shut up. You know, and you're just like, man, and there are people out there like that. And so it's easier for somebody to learn from a stranger than it is sometimes somebody they know.
Yep.
So that's always interesting. So let's talk about this more, about the concept of how we help people and how we support and care about them, because it's interesting. When we do it without question, it becomes routine, but not just routine in like a bad humdrum, gotta do this all the time, this is the way I live, nothing's ever gonna change. No, it's more like every time you do a good deed, it's like the stakes get higher, like things get better. It's like you keep leveling up on life, and it's like the more you level up, it's like the cooler things get, the more things kind of are like come together, the more your life seems to make more sense. And I know that this sounds interesting, being that it's based on doing good, but I mean, when I guess it takes years to compile all this stuff, and it's karma, and it's doing right, and it's understanding yourself, and it's not making judgment calls on yourself, and there's a lot that goes into this. But when we are doing good, we're producing goodness. We're allowing other people to experience happiness and being able to feel good about somebody caring about them and honestly caring. And in those situations, we're producing goodness for other people. And it's a rhythm situation. We are actually in the rhythm of the earth. We are in the rhythm. We are within synchronicity. When you're in rhythm, you create goodness. By creating goodness, you're in rhythm. It goes hand in hand. And so when you're in rhythm and you're creating goodness, or you're in goodness and you're rhythmic and you're in synchronicity, you're creating this process that people call the ripple effect. You're constantly doing good, and that ripples out and touches lives. And then when you do good to somebody else, or, indirectly to Mother Earth or to an animal or whoever, that also touches lives, especially when you have an audience. That touches even more lives. Even an audience you didn't even know was there, that touches more lives. And it keeps going and going and going. And there's no end to it. And that's what's so cool. And I remember there was a film that was out a long time ago. It was called Pay It Forward. And I remember that.
I remember that. Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And I remember that. And it was a good film. It was more about, actually thinking about the deed and then going to do it, But I mean, I think you can do that as well if you want to do that once a week or once a month, really go help somebody and really, make a, schedule it and plan it. But I think you can do it on a daily basis without having to really necessarily go completely out of your way, because if you're in synchronicity, everything you need to do will be right in front of you. And it might not be going to Ethiopia to help somebody or going on a peace mission to go here. It might be your neighbor is suffering. It could be that your friend is suffering. It could be that there's a neighbor next door that is by herself and can't cook for herself, and you find this out and you help her and you figure it out, and you're a lifeline to this person. It could be an animal shelter that needs your help. It could be anybody.
It could be just doing a favor for your neighbor.
It could be just doing a favor. It could be, somebody, breaks their leg and you pick up their mail. I mean, it's just, it's the small things, it's the big things, but they're all big things in the scheme of it. And that's what matters. I mean, it's all about doing good. And I think when we realize that doing good really means that you're living with love as your standard. When we do good and altruistic by others, it means that we're living in love as our perfect standard. It is our standard because love is the only thing that is perfect. Love is the only thing that's real. Love is all there is. Everything else is a byproduct of fear. That's all it is. Fear. Hate is a byproduct of fear.
Get your Yoda on here, Ashley.
And I will do Yoda later on here in the hour. But yeah, it is a standard. And when we're able to do good altruistically, guess what? We feel loved, and other people feel loved. And it doesn't matter if you give a hug and somebody doesn't want to hug you back. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you tell somebody that you love them and they don't tell it back. It doesn't matter. It's kind of funny how when we tell somebody we love them, it actually goes into our subconscious and our conscious as well. And it's like we're telling ourselves we love ourselves. And so the more we love other people and the more we tell them, the more ourself feels loved too. And that's what's so important, is whatever we say out of our mouth, guess what? It goes directly to us too. I mean, when you shoot the bird out there, guess what? You see the bird too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like you're screwing yourself, too. I mean, when you start yelling profanities, you get to hear all those profanities, too.
Just say, the road rage, type stuff.
Which, I've done that when I was a kid. I used to do that when I was a kid. My mom would be like, God, Ashley, I pray you don't get hurt. I remember we won't go into all that. But yeah, when I was a kid, I did some crazy stuff. But anyway, when we were returning to talking about doing good and how that is the standard and how to really continue to be in the rhythm of the country, the rhythm of the earth, and how to create that synchronicity on a day-to-day basis. So stay tuned, because Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
2 shakes.
I could lift you up. I could show you what you want to see and take you where you want to be.
Get in here and give us your perspective. We're listening. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight's show, we've been talking about what doing good does to your life and how it impacts lives in such a favorable, happy, healthy way. About how when you do good for society as people and concerned, as well as dogs and animals and plants and earth and Mother Earth and all this good stuff, it really does well, and it bodes well for us because it keeps us in the rhythm and the synchronicity of Earth. It's interesting how when we do produce goodness, it's the ripple effect. We actually affect other people around us in a way that you can't even explain. I mean, the gesture of doing good and altruistically good is something that is amazing. It's awesome. It's beautiful to behold. And it's amazing because it produces love. And love is the only real emotion. Everything else is a sidebar of being fearful, of being not feeling yourself, about feeling like lesser than. Love is all there is. And so when we do good, it leads to living a life with love as our standard. And that to me is amazing. I mean, that's a great feeling. You start leveling up, you're in the rhythm of things, you have synchronicity. And so before we go tonight, I want to give you the 3 ways that you can do good, the 3 ways that you can integrate even doing better in your life, because I know everybody listening tonight's already doing good. I know that. I get it. I'm not, I know that y'all are ahead of the game. I understand that. You're a par ahead, and I understand that. But to continue to do good, to not see it as going out of our way, and to create the synchronicity in our life, and to allow love to be our standard, the first thing is to see. And I know that sounds odd, but to see, to open your eyes, to keep your head up. When you're going from place to place, keep your head up. Don't look down. Don't look at your feet. Don't look at your phone. Keep your head up. Look around. See things. See where you are. See your surroundings. See the people around you. When you're looking down, you're not in life. When you're looking at your phone, you might as well just be in your phone, like that Willy Wonka kid that turns himself into the TV in the first original Willy Wonka movie, when he actually puts himself in the TV and he's like the particles of the TV. He's like, look, I'm in the TV. Like, you become part of your phone. Like, the phone is not only an extension of your arm, now you're in phone time.
You mean I have to pull myself out of my World of Warcraft game?
You have that on your phone?
No, I don't. But but I know people who do.
Oh my God! Yeah, I don't play. One time years ago, I got sucked into that Words with Friends.
Ah, yes.
Words with Friends, the way to really just screw up a bunch of hours. It's like you don't even know what's going on.
I was gonna say you can. That's the kind of thing where half the day can go by and you just like wake up like, whoa, what's
it's like Vegas, man, and you can do instant messaging.
No joke, isn't it?
And you can do instant messaging on there, and you can start rolling through your head. Oh, so and so played a big word. I wonder if they're cheating. You know what I mean? Like, I stopped playing that stuff. I actually took it off my phone. I played for about...
You had to, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I played for like 2 weeks, and then I erased the app. I don't have any games on my phone, period. I refuse to waste my time.
Neither do I.
I refuse to do that. I'm just not going to do it. I have friends that play those games all the time, like the Farmville and all that stuff on Facebook.
My goodness.
And I love all the invitations, but no, I'm not going to play. So open your eyes. When you're going places, walk around, see people, talk to people, communicate, put yourself out there. You know what? Because other people really will appreciate it. And you know what? You'll feel better, too, because you'll be happier because you're doing good, but also you are actually communicating, being a part of the earth, doing stuff. And that's what it all matters. Not looking down at your feet, not getting worried about the inner critic. Oh, what am I going to do? I can't do any good. Just do good. Be yourself. Communicate. Show other people that they exist. Do good for animals. Do good for the environment. But quit looking down at your phone and being on the sidelines of life. I mean, I think that's so important. I think the next thing is to be in the now. When we're in the now, we're in the love. If we're out in the past, we're in the past. If we're in the future, we're in a dream. We're in a daydream. And we're not meditating. No, that's the difference between meditating and daydreams. But we're not in our present reality. And the only thing we have is right now. I mean, I know that people sit there and say, well, I know I got this and that, and I don't know how tomorrow will be. And I know that sometimes it seems weird for me on that, too, because I'm like, oh, tomorrow I got this and that going. But, we really have to focus on the fact that life goes really fast.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't slow down.
Right. And
it's kind of scary sometimes especially when you look at friends' kids, and the kid was 1, and now the kid's 7. And you're like, dude, how old is the kid?
It's like, when did you grow that fast?
It's been 7 years since I was at the hospital. When she was delivering the baby 7 years ago. That was 7 years ago. And I'm over there about to get the kid like some little 3-year-old gift for ages 2 to 4.
I made that mistake once upon a time with my niece and nephew.
You did?
Yeah.
You did?
And my sister-in-law calls me and says, well, they appreciate it, but they've kind of outgrown it. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, they're 7 and 8 years old now. I'm like, oh, gosh, where did the time go?
You're like, I'm 7 or 8 years older. Great. You're like, just stop growing.
Yeah.
Stop getting old already.
Just be a baby forever.
Just stop. Stop. And that's how I feel sometimes. But, man, we got to be in the now because the now is all we have. And, the biggest thing about the now, I know people say, the now is all we have. But it's also about savoring what we have. I mean, if we're constantly wondering about things being better or what's going on over there, if we're constantly thinking about the past and what we might have missed out on or any of that stuff, we really miss out on the right and the here and the now.
And a corollary to that could be, stop envying what other people have, wishing you had what that, this neighbor has or your brother has or whatever. Be content with what you have.
That's true, too. And a lot of times we don't feel that way because, society doesn't bring us up that way to think that way. You look at media, you look at TV, and you go, well, so-and-so just got a brand new is it a Jaguar or is it Jaguar? And it's like...
Put your pinky finger up, Jaguar.
Oh, I know. I can't believe they changed the name. It used to be Jaguar, now it's Jaguar.
Bond.
Jaguar. The Jaguar XL12. No, but seriously, you start thinking about, I wish I had that. But also the biggest thing is just being out of it, not thinking anymore. Like when we start doing gossip, when we get in the process of gossip, and everybody knows you have a friend that sometimes you have a tendency of gossiping with, what happens? You're talking about someone else's life and you're not even living. You're over there talking about someone else's life. And in order to be doing good and getting good and reaping the benefits and having that turn into love as well as impact our lives in a positive manner, we got to be in the now and realize what's upon us. If I'm not living in the now and I'm looking down, I'm not going to see anything around me. I'm going to miss everything that's going on. And consequently, I'm not going to be in sync. I'm not going to be in the rhythm at all because I'm missing everything. And in order to create that rhythm and to be in sync, you got to be aware of what's going on. You got to be aware of the present tense right now about what is happening right now and what is going on and what you can do right now to better your surroundings and to better other people's lives altruistically. But last but not least, and this is the one thing that I think is the most important, is we have to see things as opportunities, not as burdens. Because sometimes it feels like you have to go out of your way to do something. You look at it as a burden instead of an opportunity. How come that can't be an opportunity to better your life? How come? Why do we label it as a burden? I have a lot of times when people ask me if I can do something for them. And there was a time when I would do things for everybody, and then there was a time when I was like, well, I do all this stuff for everybody, nobody ever does anything back for me, and you know what, this is just BS. And you would spend so much time doing things for people, and they wouldn't reciprocate. And so for a little while, I got cold about it. I remember this was years ago. And then eventually I realized, wait a second, that is not the way to live. You have to sit there and be around the right people. If you're giving to a bunch of takers, and that's all you have around you, you need to rethink who you have around you.
Amen to that.
Okay, because takers will always take.
Those are the energy suckers you were talking about earlier in the show. Yes.
And that's the takers. And if you're surrounded by takers, I can tell why you don't want to do good, because you know what? These people aren't going to do anything.
Because doing good is not doing any good.
No, not at all, right? No, they're not going to do any good for you, and that's the key. And so it's like you've got to stay around people that are good. And if you don't have a lot of people that are good around you, quality is better than quantity.
Find some new friends.
And it's not hard. If you're a good person, you know what? You're probably genuinely likable. You can find new friends.
Here's a suggestion for you. I mean, volunteer for some cause, okay? Because you'll be around other people who feel the same way you do.
I like that.
I
like that. And to see things as an opportunity, not as a burden. And so that means that you have surrounded yourself by good people. That means that you're surrounded by other people that feel that love is the only true feeling. And you've also surrounded yourself by other people that are doing good. They're not necessarily giving you everything, but they're doing good by other people too. And that's what matters. And when you do that, the things that you do for other people is not a burden. It really is an opportunity, because somewhere in there, we don't know all the grand scheme of things, but somewhere in there, there's something that's going to help you learn or grow or succeed in one way or another. I think this is so important, because when we do good, we do live with love as our standard. And we get rid of fear, and we're able to know what's around us, and we're able to communicate with people and to love people and to be in that synchronicity. And the synchronicity and the rhythm of the earth is so important, because that's why we're here. That's why we have this life, okay? Really, just FYI. We're supposed to learn how to be in the third dimension. We're supposed to learn how to be with Mother Earth. Is a star tetrahedron? Is that shape and that causal? We have to understand that as well. And to be able to understand the origins of Earth, as well as to do what's good and what's right. And that's what's so important, is when we do what's good, we do what's right. And we do good, we do what's right by our hearts and by our soul and by our conscious level and by our higher self. And that's what's so important. So stay tuned. We got a great show for you tomorrow, and looking forward to hearing from our listeners. Go online to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess on Facebook. Also, I have a page called Live Your True Life, as well as I'm also on there, Ashley Burgess. On Twitter, Ashley Burgess is my handle. And you can also check out any of our past shows on demand on Spreaker, speaker with an R, and iTunes. Just go to Perspectives, or just put in Ashley. You can actually find us just by putting in Ashley on Spreaker. We're rated number 3 on society and culture shows here in the country. Actually in the world right now.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. We're right behind Serial and one other. So we're number 3.
Awesome.
So I'm very proud of that, and I'm proud of that format as well, because they're getting radio and they're getting content all over the world on demand. So stay tuned. We got a great show for you next week, and tomorrow. We have a great show for you tomorrow. Yeah, we got
the weekend isn't here yet, Ashley.
Golly, kind of feels like it kind of could be, though, right?
It could be, yeah.
It wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, we can.
I'll take 3 Fridays, 2 Saturdays, a Sunday, and a Wednesday.
There you go. I like it.
You like it?
Let's just take off.
That would be a really, really rough Wednesday, though, I bet.
It would, yeah. You have to pack a lot in.
Like 7 Wednesdays and a Friday. Yeah, I don't know about all that. But stay cool, stay good, do altruistic deeds, and good will happen to you. Perspectives with Ashley Burgess will be back this time in 3 shakes.